Hi Kylie. So I really enjoyed your discussion board this week, mainly because it really stuck out to me with some similar viewpoints that I had and that I came across. So first, kind of when you talked about the, you know, maybe need for a translator when it comes to reading an informed consent form. Um, and I feel like this isn't just in, a counseling informed consent form, but, in clinical research or anything that requires signing an informed consent form. I think sometimes there's this gap where it's just not always maybe clear enough to be understood by everybody. So I actually was reading an article that I found kind of interesting. So the author was Kiguba, and they performed a study, and they found that within the study, only about a third of participants were even aware that they signed a form stating that there were risks in the study. So obviously in counseling, maybe we're not signing something that's saying that there's risks, but just knowing that they're, entitled to a translator if they need one. I think sometimes in these informed consent forms, it's not so much that the individual isn't reading the information, it might be that they just can't understand it, or it's not in terms that are just easy enough to be understood. Um, so kind of talked in the article about how informed consent forms sometimes, the makers of those can downplay the risks, or, not do a good enough job of being clear enough for people to understand. And I just feel like that kind of went in with what you said. Okay, maybe they know that they're entitled to a translator or someone to help them, understand, but like, how do I go about that? And it makes you wonder, like, do they not mention how to go about it because they're hoping maybe they just don't ask. You hope that that's not the case, but you see crazy stories all the time. So I feel like it's just really interesting to see like these gaps in these forms where, it's something you need to be really specific about, even in the article or the informed consent form that I chose. Um, they didn't like clearly state the right to, terminate their counseling. And they had forms listed, like sign here to agree, that they're acknowledging these other forms, but like on the form itself was not anything about terminating counseling, which is one of, the biggest things that individuals should be made aware of, is that they can terminate their, counseling at any point. So I think it's just interesting, and maybe it's just a sign that we need to do a little bit better sometimes with these informed consent forms so that there's no misconceptions, no misunderstandings.